The first thing I'm going to show you is, speaking of the cooling of electronics, this means heat transfer through solid. So heat transfer, solid. It is invisible, but with theory that came from people say Fourier. There are others before him. You can read that if you read carefully the book and other places. So yes, heat is flowing because of temperature differences. In the beginning of the flow of water, we dealt with the bifurcating flow between a mother channel or from a mother channel into two daughter channels. Well, let's see how that works when it comes to heat flow. So here is a bar of length L1 and transversal dimension D1, continued by two smaller bars, identical. I'll sketch them this way. Each of dimension L2 and D2. These are actually not bars, they are plates, because I made a two-dimensional drawing. There's a third dimension that's perpendicular to the blackboard. Let me draw it this way so that I can teach you an additional lesson. And then, of course, that would be the view of the bottom branch. The additional lesson is the following, and this is actually a good lesson even for those of you who use software. People who don't know what I know, draw two parallel lines parallel. And that is a huge mistake because they give the impression that the object, if these would be parallel, that the object is getting wider far from the viewer. The way to draw is to fool the viewer with taper, with lines that are not perfectly parallel, lines that would intersect somewhere far away, which in the business is called the horizon, here. And this feature, which is a trick, is called perspective. Perspective. And you see I did the same here, and they all meet at the same point on the horizon, and okay. I'm sure you've seen very old paintings from before Renaissance. They look pretty weird. I mean, they look like paintings from before Renaissance. And then at the beginning of Renaissance, there was in Florence, they were building the, anybody's been to Florence here? Very good. It's called Il Duomo. It's the cathedral of that, used to be a kingdom. Il Duomo. Il Duomo is kind of the nickname. It means the dome because it's this huge structure which did not crumble yet because it was built properly, just like Saint Sophia in Constantinople, today Istanbul. And And the architect of the baptistery in front of this church was Filippo Brunelleschi. I write his name because most people don't know about him. Anyway, here's the architect who figured out that to make a drawing to look realistic, a two-dimensional drawing that gives the impression of three-dimensional object, it's a big deal, you see. You had to taper parallel lines to meet at a virtual point on the horizon. All of them, all these parallel lines in the same plane would be meeting in one of these points, which of course you don't draw. You just do what I did. Filippo Brunelleschi. Now, what's interesting about him is that he lived between 1377 and 14 and then 46, which is yet another 100 years before the first, who was Da Vinci. I told you about him. So Da Vinci lived between 1452 and 1519. And you see the 100 years it took for this ball to be kicked around, one kick, 100 years after the next kick, after the first kick.